Hi guys, once again you're listening to the Lads Film Thing.
This week is another re-release, now we've got this sound thing down.
So, hope you enjoy our re-release version of Snatch, one of the first ones we did.
Leave us a comment or let us know on social channels what films you'd like us to review next.
Enjoy!
Bye! Welcome to this week's episode of the Lads Film Thing podcast, where four friends discuss a film and generally have a good time. And be warned, there will be spoilers. So, you've got Lucy.
Hi.
Abby.
Hey.
This is me, Dan, and Sam.
Hello.
So, Sam, this week is your film choice.
It is, and I chose Snatch, the 2000 crime comedy film written and directed by Guy Ritchie. It's a gangster film. It's kind of a heist, but not, because the heist is like the first 5 minutes, isn't it?
Well, and also, wouldn't you say that Brad Pitt is heisting throughout?
No, I'd say he's conning.
Oh, maybe it's
Hustling.
a con
Yeah, it's a
film.
hustle film.
Maybe it's a hustle.
It's a gang
Yeah.
hustle, is it?
Comedy gangster hustle. They got a bit of comedy in there.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
also
But you-
sports as well, isn't it? Because it really centres around a boxing match.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah, but it could centre around anything.
Yeah, but it didn't. It centered around a sport.
Wow.
And a diamond.
It's a sports documentary. Okay, it's a sports documentary
About hustling.
Guy Ritchie documented.
Yeah. I chose to choose this film because so we watched it like a year ago. It was just a really good film, which had loads of really cool people in there. I just remember finding it like really interesting with loads of stuff happening and wanted a good film that we knew we could have a really good discussion about
Astro Old Boy, you mean?
after Old Boy. Yeah. And Brad Pitt has got an excellent accent in there, which is worth watching for.
Nice.
It's a great choice.
It was a great
It
choice.
was great.
Yeah, I think we all love the film.
Well, let's not preempt him.
Yeah. spoiler alert. So the film starts with the robbery of a diamond by Frankie Four Fingers, who goes to take the diamond to Doug the Head on behalf of the New York jeweler, Cousin Avi.
I think you've forgotten one of the key amazing bits with them all being just dressed as like Orthodox Jewish
I've
people.
not forgotten that. I just didn't mention it.
Sorry, I think you didn't mention one of the most amazing bits of the film where you're like, I don't know what's happening. Just starts you off like on the wrong foot in a really fun way though.
And also, side note, Benicio del Toro looks so much like Jermaine Clement.
Yeah,
Really does.
Yeah, in this scene.
he really does.
So he goes to see Doug the Head, and one of the other robbers advises Frankie Four Fingers to go get a gun from his brother Boris the Blade, and then decides to tell Boris to go and steal the diamond from Frankie before he can turn it over to Doug. So that's one of the plots of this film. The other one concerns Turkish, the boxing promoter, who is organising a game with Gorgeous George against one of Bricktop's fighters. Turkish sends his partner Tommy to go and get a caravan from the Irish travellers, but all goes wrong when Mickey decides to knock out George, thereby meaning he can't join the fight. So Turkish decides to get Mickey to do the fight, which Bricktop reluctantly agrees to, only if Mickey will throw the fight in the fourth round. What could go wrong? Dan, you enjoy an Irish traveller.
Yes, like when you're introduced to those characters, it's excellent. Like, it's a really unusual scene. I don't think like you said, it's going to be a London crime caper, and then that's like not a character you would expect to see at all. And Brad Pitt, like, this has got to be one of his best roles. He does the accent perfectly.
He nails that accent.
He is just perfectly in character. Is just amazing. Like,
And Brad Pitt, I always think he is a big actor that everybody loves. And I never really understand why. I'm always like, oh, he's like a big, I don't know, a Hollywood actor. He's not actually that good. He does like Mr. and Mrs. Smith or whatever. But he's in some amazing films like this, Burn After Reading, Fight Club, which are... He's just really good in them. Like Seven.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that should be on the list.
So I think what you mean is he is actually one of the best actors of the past 20
Yeah,
years.
I do mean that.
Ocean's 11. Ocean's 12. Ocean's 13.
I haven't seen any of these.
Was
films.
Oh, they're good.
Was there actually an Ocean's 13?
Yeah. And 8. You saw that.
Oh, I knew there was an Ocean's 8, yeah. No, but he's brilliant in this film.
And I just think that they do his character so well. Like, he's super jokey and then immediately serious and then back to just kind of joking around. And like you say, his whole relationship with his mum is probably very typical of like an Irish traveller relationship where like nobody can say anything bad about her.
Like a matriarchal
Yeah.
situation. Yeah, but definitely he has some of the most sincere moments in the movie. Like during the fight, it's quite serious, but then also some of the most funny because that accent for a start is just hilarious.
So Boris the Blade decides to hire Vinnie and Sol, two small-time crooks who own the pawn shop, to rob Frankie whilst he's at the bookies, which goes completely tits up because the bookies aren't taking any bets because Gorgeous George isn't fighting anymore. It goes terribly, but they do manage to kidnap Frankie in their escape from the failed robbery. They hold Frankie captive with a sack over his head, but Boris arrives and his betrayal is exposed to Frankie, so he has to kill him. And he leaves with the diamond.
That bit of the bookies is also one of the best bits of the film, isn't it? It's so serious but really funny because they get locked in. That woman, she's supposed to be scared of them. That is the right bit, isn't it? Yeah. She's supposed to be scared, and they're like, yeah. And she's like, what? No, this happens every week. Like, come on, I'm just bored of this. And then everything goes wrong for them, and they like shoot themselves, and just everything happens, doesn't it? That it all goes wrong, then they just can't get out. They're just sat there after like, oh, this has happened.
Yeah.
Again, it's like a film that's really funny, even though it's kind of not.
Yeah, and then
not set
Tyrone
up
just
that way.
walks in the door and they're like, okay, yeah, no.
I would have liked that if he had closed the door behind him, and then they'd have all got stuck.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been that would have added to the comedy.
Yeah.
Can I just say, just as a little bit of a context of what is happening here at the moment, it's currently midnight, and both dogs have decided now is a great time to be super awake, and they're just wandering around making literally as much noise as they're able to, rustling in everything.
And basically being bucks.
They have no respect for the podcast, it's fair to say.
So back to the fight. Instead of throwing it, as expected, Mickey knocks out the opponent with a single punch, which just gets Bricktop completely livid, and he robs Turkish of his life savings and demands that Mickey fights again and lose. Mickey refuses, because he's an Irish traveller who has some pride, unless Turkish buys him an even better caravan.
For his mum.
For his mum. Yeah.
And
But this one's better.
Bricktop, anyone want to say anything about Bricktop? Petrifying.
Yeah, such a good villain.
Yeah, a very good villain. A very unusual villain in terms of like, I mean, I know it's set in London, but like he just is really just unusual, really.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't look that menacing, but all of his actions and his speech is just terrifying.
Yeah, so he does look very like unique, and you know there's something not quite right about him. Like he's not friendly. He's not someone you initially warm to.
No, but unhinged.
Yeah, and all the scenes that had him in always made me feel quite uncomfortable. Like I didn't know what he was going to do next. I didn't know what to expect. So
Yeah, when he's talking about his pigs and how many pigs it takes
Yeah.
to...
Yeah.
that bit was so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was a really good villain.
Especially when he has Mickey's mum's caravan burned down while she's still inside it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, that's so sad, that bit.
Yeah, that bit was so sad. Like, she was just minding her own business, really, and she just got caught up in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like the innocent person in the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely horrific death.
And for me, it wasn't even like I don't know, if you want somebody to do something, presumably, I don't know, taking a family member and being like, do this or we'll do something to them is a fair way of getting them to do a thing. But actually just murdering them just says like, I'm the cruelest person ever, so just do what I say, because that's like, I'm a risk to you.
Yeah, and I think that maybe I'm just thinking now that that's probably, out of everyone, Mickey seems to be like the character with the most depth, because at this point you see him switch from just sort of being quite like playful and quite like messing around basically, and then he's serious in the fight, but now you see him like distraught because his mum's dead and she obviously meant so much to him, so you get to see all those different sides to him, whereas a lot of the other characters you see them in like one specific role. So I think some of the characters, they don't have that much depth to them, but Mickey's definitely the one that has a lot there.
Yeah.
So for robbing his bookies, Bricktop finds Tyrone and so on Vinny and tries to kill them. But they bargain for their lives and they offer him the stolen diamond and they give him 48 hours to retrieve it.
That's the weird bit where he puts them all in body bags.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
I did not like that.
Again, it's just like, he is a psychopath. That's what all of these things are telling us just all the time, isn't it? It doesn't matter what he's doing. Everything he's doing is just say like, I will do anything to you, and I can.
Well, yeah, because thankfully that is just a threat there, isn't it? When he puts them in those body bags and is talking about those pigs and things. So, there's no, like, it's not just a threat. This will happen if you don't do what I say.
Yeah.
You believe it.
Yeah.
So then Avi and Doug the Head decide to hire Bullet Tooth Tony, who is the amazing Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones, excellent. I appreciate him because I appreciate him because I remember him as an actual footballer when I was young. So to see him now as like a fantastic Hollywood actor is...
But he was great in that film, wasn't he, Vinnie Jones? Because he was literally like the scene in the bar where he's just literally like spelling it all out for everyone and them. Like,
yeah.
He's really cool.
Oh, when they've got the replica guns.
Yeah.
The real
Yeah,
guns.
it's really good.
That's really good. Yeah. And he
that
barely
is
even
good.
sees them come in. The bartender's already behind the bar and he just grabs his Guinness and goes to sit down. Yeah.
Wait, no, but who's the guy that I thought was Vinnie Jones? Who's in it throughout?
Jason Statham.
Is that not Vinnie Jones?
Abby!
right.
hang on.
Edit.
Jason Statham is Turkish.
Yeah.
Literally the main character.
Or like from Turkey.
Yeah,
One
that's
of the
his
like
name.
3 or 4 main
I did
Yeah.
watch this film. I
The
did.
guy who's with the dad from Matilda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not Danny.
That's not
Not Danny DeVito. I was like, I did not watch the same film. as you.
that's not Vinnie Jones.
No, however, I only know this, full disclosure, because Jason Statham was in Fast and Furious
Yes.
towards the end.
Right.
And now that made me enjoy this movie a bit more.
Oh, okay, because you like him now.
Well, yeah, and also I recognised him and knew he was friend before. I don't listen to this Jason Statham.
And Jason Statham, is he English?
Yeah.
In general life.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's American.
I thought he was English.
No, I think he's English.
He's got quite a strong
He's
British
got-
accent.
Helen
Yeah.
Mirren plays his mum in Fast and Furious. Spoilers, sorry. Hang on, so did you think those two characters were one character?
No, I thought they were two characters, but I thought the first one was Vinnie Jones.
Who did you-
So we actually don't know who Vinnie Jones is then. Who did you think that was?
I don't know.
Surely you know who
It's
he
like
is.
another bald guy.
He's not bald.
What?
Say he was bald.
I would say he was bald as well. I mean, not to his face. He's petrifying.
Is he bald? I don't know.
He's more bald than not bald.
No, he's got a short
He's
hair.
wearing a hat in the film.
Can you two say the word bald again?
Bald.
Yeah, I can't go on with that. I know that's technically correct.
I know.
What
It
you
feels wrong, doesn't it?
Bold.
Loud.
No,
I know.
Oh,
hang
it's
on.
you that sounds
It's
it
me.
weird. It's
It's
Luce
me,
that says
yeah.
it weird.
It's me,
Everyone,
yeah.
calm down.
Sorry.
What are you saying?
Luce is saying bold.
Bald.
Like,
Yeah,
Oh.
he's a very bold person.
and I might have that wrong, but when you said it, I was
Oh
like,
no, he
you
was
said
definitely
it like
bald
me.
in the film.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
bold.
he was very
But
bald.
he's also bald.
Bald.
He's
I just don't
with
think
hair.
bald. Like, I can't do it. Bald.
But he's still acting now, isn't he? So this was obviously 23 years ago, but he's been in like the X-Men films as Juggernaut. Like, he's been loads of stuff, but he's still doing really well.
Yes.
He's in, was it Mean Machine, like the football prison film?
Oh, yeah.
That was really good.
Is he in stuff now, though? I can't think of anything he's been recently.
He was in that first aid advert. Oh no, the heart attack advert.
the
wasn't
Staying
it?
Alive
The Staying
one.
Alive.
Oh,
one.
yeah. Juggernaut was my favourite of his roles.
Juggernaut.
Yeah, I just forgot he was in X-Men.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
And it's such a, like, fun scene where he just crashes his way through each, like, wall one after
until
another.
you can't- Yeah.
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 We should probably add that to the list as well, good.
There's this car scene where it's like 3 different cars at one point, and they throw the milk out of the window of Tommy Turkis's. It hits the other car that crashes, and it's just, for one like small moment, all the storylines intertwine for a second.
and impact each
It's
other.
really cool, and you just see them all from different times. Like,
Yeah.
it's really good.
For me, that definitely affects its like masterpiece ability, because I love a story where it's got different bits and they're kind of unconnected, and then suddenly they all connect in some way, and you're like, oh yeah, see how this all follows through. This film's even better because they just cross over at that point, and then they just go their own ways again. It's not like they actually
just ties back
then-
at the end with the dog. Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, the
yeah,
dog,
it's cool.
But then there's a lot of shooting, people getting killed in the pub. Tyrone gets injured, and they go back to the bookies to shoot the dog, but nobody wants to shoot the dog to get the diamond out of him.
Oh, and that's adorable. Whoever Vinnie Jones's character is, it's really confusing because there's a character called Vinnie, isn't there? And there's Vinnie Jones.
Bullet
No.
Tooth Tony.
Bullet Tooth Tony. He doesn't want to do it. And like, so he's like this really hard guy who would do anything to anyone. It goes through a massive thing about that. And then he's just adorable with the dog. He's like, no, I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
But then like 2 minutes later, Avi just shoots everywhere. And
Oh yeah,
shoots
he doesn't.
Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's the end of Tony.
Hang on, can I just add in here? That scene with the dog, that is my favourite scene of all the movie, because in that whole scene, the dog is acting as well as all the other people in the room. Like, if you watch, he's like hanging onto their coats and he's pulling away and he's running around, and it's just absolute chaos, but totally relevant. And I just love the little dog. He's so good. Or she? We don't know. Daisy.
This
Oh yeah, good boy.
Daisy the boy.
Yeah.
good boy, Daisy.
Excellent dog acting.
Yeah, come on.
Agreed.
So then Mickey agrees to do the fight, but he gets so drunk at his mum's wake. He does make it to the 4th round as per Bricktop's plan. He gets knocked down, but then the last minute he recovers and knocks out his opponent with one punch, which just makes Turkish and Tommy filled with dread, and Bricktop a very unhappy bunny. So then,
And I did think, because when you're watching that bit, he's like taking the punches, isn't he? And you know that's what he's supposed to do. And then he hits him like one time, or he's not like fighting very well, and then the other guy hits Mickey one time, and he's just like, you know what? Absolutely not. Like, just something kicks in, like you said, his pride or whatever just kicks in, and he's like, not gonna let that happen, obviously.
he just reaches his limit.
Yeah.
So Turkish and Tommy are obviously trying to scarp her, but then they leave the building at the same time as Bricktop and his men, and just as they think they're garners, you see the window wind down on Bricktop's car, and it's the Irish travellers who were waiting for him all along and shoot him dead.
Excellent. A good comeuppance for him, really.
Finally,
Yeah,
yes.
definitely.
And it turns out that this was Mickey's plan all along. He had bet on himself, so he won all the money, and he was always going to get paybacks for Bricktop for what he did to his mum, which is really good. Like,
Yeah.
So good to see.
so satisfying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, Bricktop being so, like we were just saying, kind of all powerful, like how he goes about all of his business, just threatening, going for immediately the most, like, punitive response that he can with everything, just to see Mickey be like, no, I'm not doing this. It's just a really good, like, little character thing.
Yeah, and it's so good to see that actually, like, Mickey comes out on top, and you're like, yeah, after everything that we've seen, that's just really nice. Like, if you wanted this movie to end in any way, that's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of Mickey comes out as like the overall winner and kind of main character almost. Like, he's approached at the start, like Turkish, you're introduced to Turkish and Bricktop, and, you know, they have to arrange that fight, blah, blah, blah. Mickey almost is a bit of like, he's just a tool. Like, he just is someone who has to do the job. You know, he's just expected to do this, blah, 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 and then just go back to his life. And actually, in the end, he's the one that actually sorts everything out. He sorts out Bricktop. He makes away with a load of cash and kind of saves Turkish's bacon and cleans up the whole thing, really.
So then the next day, Turkish and Tommy go to see the Irish Travellers campsite, but there's nobody there except for the police. So in order to come up with a reason as to why they're there, they see the dog running around, and they decide that to tell the police that they're there walking their dog, which was another amazing scene of Tommy trying to get the dog back in the car.
Yeah.
Literally shouting, "Daisy, come here, good boy."
Yeah, because that guy, is it Stephen Graham?
Yep.
I got that right? He's one of my favourite characters throughout as well. Even though he's so, like his character's such a small part, really. He's like in the background, he's always not hiding behind, but stood behind Turkish and like most of the scenes. But I feel like he is acting how any of us would act if we were in that exact same situation. Like, just trying to follow along with what's going on, but not trying to get our hands dirty.
Yeah, it's like his eyes you see the film through, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but I really like him. He's really good in Matilda. Sorry,
Yes.
23 years on.
Yeah.
Big breaks, yeah.
Yeah.
But Daisy, the dog, is squeaking, so they take her or him to the vet and find out that there was a squeaky toy and a diamond in its stomach. So they take it to Doug the Head and ask if there's anyone who would be interested. And Abby hops back on the Concorde, I think it is, which is just like this film horrendously, to come and get it. And as they're driving, they see Sal and Vinny being arrested.
That's what I was going to say. That bit is so amazing, and they see the dog. So and Vinny see the dog, don't they? Like hanging out of the window.
It's tricky for them because I feel like Sal and Vinny, again, they're ones which you really relate to because they're likeable and like a bit naive. So you think, again, like this could easily be like the normal people, but they just end up being so unlucky. Whereas Tash and Tommy seem to get like quite running this whole scenario.
Yeah, but it feels like Tesh and Tommy try to be a bit strategic. They try to make like the best calls in the right situations, whereas the other guys are just like going all guns blazing, like
Just got a bit greedy.
and are slipping up and are like making mistakes all the way through, and obviously end up getting caught with nothing.
Yeah.
So I love the ending of this movie. The fact that, like, even the way they say it, he just says like, "Oh, yeah, so they found this, and the diamond." Like you don't see the moment where they find it and they're like, "Oh my god, we've got this!" Like you don't even see any of that, but it's so nice to know, like, oh, okay, this is how it's panned out, and that's a great ending.
Great film.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It's been probably a good 10 years or something since I watched that, so thanks for the recommendation. And
You're very welcome.
No, but it's brilliant. Like, it's just as good as I remembered it, and actually better. Like, I'd forgotten a lot of it, and it's an excellent film. Really good.
Well, with that, it's time to look at some scores. So, as ever in these discussions, we are looking at a total score of 60 over 3 categories being enjoyability, shareability, and masterpieceability, where each of us lads will give a score out of 5 for each category. So, let's kick off with enjoyability. Abby.
4.5.
Dan.
I gave it a 4.
I also gave it a 4. Lucy.
3.5.
Okay, so a small range there.
I think, had I seen it? I definitely had seen it, but I hadn't remembered how good it was. It was just a really enjoyable watch. Kept me entertained. Didn't want to do anything else. That's always the sign of a good film, I think, isn't it?
It's got a good pace to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, good pace, good story, good characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And even those London gangsters, they're so likeable, and there's like, you can really relate to them.
Yeah.
I do feel like you've got to be in the right mood for this movie. Like, a gangster movie for me is not my normal, like, I wouldn't sit down and just put that on. It would have to be, well, like we specifically set out to watch this movie. So I did enjoy it for what it was, but it's not something I would watch routinely or often.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So, shareability. Luce.
3.
Ab.
3.
Dan.
I gave it a 4.
Oh, nice. I gave it a 3. Dan, you went high.
Yeah, I think probably because it was kind of better than I remembered it being. And even though it's an old film, it actually genuinely made me go and speak to other people and say, "Oh, have you seen this film? Do you remember this film from back in the day? It was really good." And I realised actually that's probably means it's got a pretty good shareability score.
Yeah, I agree. It's another one. It's older, so you assume most people who want to watch it have done.
Yeah.
But I think not even for shareability, but defendability. Anyone who would say, no, I don't want to watch that kind of film. I would actually say, no, this is really good. Like, it's good for anyone who doesn't even
Yeah.
like,
Give it a chance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like well considered. A lot of this genre of film, I feel, is just for the action. It's like a bit mindless. Even if they're heist films often, like, there's not really that much thought goes into it. But this one is well done. And the fact that it's funny kind of shifts the genre a bit as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like about it the most. Like, it's a gangster movie, which I can't think of any other gangster movie that I would actually like. And it still has all the elements to it, like the mum in the caravan, like the scary bits and like the consequences of what happens or doesn't happen. But then there's comedy all the way through. So it's like the best gangster film. So if someone wanted a gangster movie, this is the one I'd recommend.
Perfect. So our last category is masterpiece ability. Luce.
I gave it a 4.
Javi.
4, please. 4.
Dan.
3.5.
I gave it a 3.
Oh.
I'll go first in this one because I gave it the lowest score. I thought it was really good. It was kind of big scale, but also just set on the streets of London, so there was nothing overly visual to it. I think it's the best a London gangster film could have been made, but it wasn't hitting the cinematic highs as other films. Luce, a 4.
I feel like because this isn't my normal sort of type of movie, that other people would enjoy it more, and like it is more of a masterpiece than I perhaps took it for to begin with. So I appreciate it for the story being really good and the characters all sort of interweaving the way they did. I think it was done really, really well, even if for me it wasn't the best, most enjoyable movie.
And I feel like often, although this kind of wasn't the first, was it? But you've got that whole Beatles thing of like Beatles songs being really simple, and so them not being impressive, whereas actually they were like the first ones to do that sort of stuff. And it kind of feels a bit like that with this. Like, it's 23 years later, people are still watching it, people are still enjoying it, and that probably just means that it's got something.
Yeah, I gave it a 3.5. I think, I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's a very enjoyable film. I think there's some elements of it that are maybe like a bit dated, I suppose. It's not as spectacular as a lot of other films. Some of the transitions are very much 20-year-old transitions and things like that. But, you know, it doesn't detract from it being a great film, I suppose. It just takes away from the masterpiece ability score that we have coined.
So with all those scores, it gets 43.5 out of 60.
Okay.
It's a very commendable score.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Any tips for Guy Ritchie, anyone, to make it any higher?
I suppose I'd like to see more interweaving stories, but that probably would ruin it in the same way.
Yeah.
More dogs?
Yeah.
Daags. My daags.
Yeah. So there
Do you like dogs?
There probably were a lot of dogs, to be fair, but
Yeah.
more storylines with more dogs, please. They were just there in the background, like at the Traveller place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe the dogs could talk as well, maybe? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and fly.
Talking dogs and flying. Flying and talking dogs. Okay, 5s across the board from Lucy for Flying Dogs of London.
I would watch that film.
Would you?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Cool.
Thank you for coming along to this week's Lads Film Club and joining us while we discuss Snatch.
We'd love to know what you thought about it too. Did you enjoy it as much as we did? Let us know on our Twitter or Instagram. Find the details in the description.
And join us next week when Dan's choosing the film. Dan, which film have you chosen?
Yes, next week is our Halloween edition. I've chosen Get Out, which is Jordan Peele's directorial debut.
So, if you enjoyed listening to our podcast, please leave us a rating and review.
And don't forget, share with your own lads.
And we're not picky, share it with anyone.
Maybe not your Cockney diamond thieves. Not for Snatch, anyway.
So grab your popcorn.
Round up your lads.
Get watching.
And join us next week.
Bye.
bold.